YAPNATIC will claim the win, will take themselves to far. Wanted to make plans, they said yes, of course, we'll be there. On board for game 2 is Na'Vi on the road to a quick 2-0. And Na'Vi, they got all in you. Their journey in the upper bracket, up against the winner back. A brilliant game of knock knock go. Are going to take Vitality Fnatic glimmers of hope in this early game of Vitality.
Yeah, it's been a very rough end of this split, guys. This split has just concluded. G2 wins again. They managed to bring it back from their 7th position into their playoffs form. Congratulations to them, but unfortunately I'm not really here to talk about who won what or even the team's actual performance. I'm more here to say what the hell's going on at Fnatic. And again, that's not a shot towards the players. The situation is what it is. We'll see how they do in Spring Split, but I'm more here to talk about really what we've been hearing from Grabs and other people and just the lack of communication. First of all, we heard from Grabs on a Spanish interview that he was promised a 3rd member of staff. Obviously, since losing Duffman, we needed someone to fill in that space. That apparently was somewhat promised to him, or at least they were going to provide this to him, and obviously he just ends up with Gax and Richard, who were already here from last year. Only the 3 of them stepping in with a fairly new roster with rookies on board, where you would think you would need a bit more support coming in and having a first level of performance. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. The team completely crumbled after week 2. They just lost almost every game into playoffs. They did nothing at all. It was just nothing for fans to hold on. And here's my biggest gripe actually here today, is that it's very hard for Fnatic fans to be Fnatic fans, or even for new fans of esports, whether it be in League of Legends or other titles in which Fnatic partakes in, to really become a Fnatic fan. Because the question is, what would make you a Fnatic fan today? At the time, it was easy. Fnatic was the European team. They were winning pretty much everything on League of Legends, the first team to become world champions on the title, and on Counter-Strike, they were completely dominating. They even had the Fnatic era, winning multiple majors and having massive players with amazing personalities on the team on which you would easily attach to. And today, people who are still fan of the organization are fans originally from those players and decided to hold on with the organization. But as the performances and titles start to dwindle and separate themselves more and more every year and every season, today, what makes you really a Fnatic fan and want to hold on? And to be honest, when I see people just wanting to let go and not continue on, I can somewhat understand, because sometimes you just don't have it in you anymore. It sucks because that means Fnatic hasn't created something for you to hold on beyond just expecting victories. And for me, this problem stems from different areas. The first one obviously being that Fnatic didn't manage to really create an identity beyond the fact that they were winning titles at some point and they were the team to support. And over time, well, nothing more was really created to make fans cling on and want to join the organization, really. The other factors is that there's been a clear lack of communication between Fnatic and the fans. And when I mean communication, I don't mean the coaches or the general managers, who I think are doing a pretty good job so far, and they can only communicate as much as the title in which they're involved in. Now, my biggest gripe really is with Sam Matthews kind of abandoning his fans to some point. It's okay, obviously, to not be on the stage or in front of the camera 24/7, but when the results are not here, when the performances are dwindling across a majority of your titles, you have to address your fans. Now, another aspect is that when not only the FFA, which is the sort of organization that was created to create the fan clubs for Fnatic across different countries, different fan clubs, and different communities, but also when he created the paid fan experience with Core Pioneer at the time, but also Fnatic Plus. I'm pretty sure that he engaged himself to communicate more, to do those town hall formats, as he calls them, on a more regular basis. And so far, we haven't seen them. He's tweeted about the fact that he would communicate soon enough about the situation, and the split has already ended, and there's still no sign of communication from Sam. And for me, that's my biggest issue. Now, again, what we expect from Sam is not for him to sort of apologize profusely or start resigning tomorrow. We need some answers on some big questions that are surrounding not only League of Legends, because it's probably the most popular title right now, but across the organization as a whole. Obviously, when it comes to League of Legends, this is where you get the more burning questions. The first two that come on the top of my mind, obviously, are why was that assistant coach promised and not provided? The other one, obviously, is why hasn't a general manager been appointed since the departure of Dardo, which is over a year now. I think those questions need to be addressed. We need someone at the top who's really dedicated to League of Legends, who's able to set up this process within the team and be almost the mouthpiece for the segment instead of Grabs, who's sort of taking the bullet for everything, but really isn't getting as much assistance or help that he should get from the organization. We also want Sam to be crystal clear about the finances on Fnatic. And again, we do not want a PR answer. It's completely okay to say that a structure and organization that is over 20 years old in esports, which if you have a look, there aren't that many that are still alive and still competing in the tier 1 titles, to say, well, we're still struggling financially, because that's the fact. In esports, not a lot of organizations are making a profit or even getting even. So Sam, it's okay for you to tell us this. At least we know what's happening. We understand some of the decisions, but we need to understand what you're doing in that sense. What are the steps that you are taking, and why haven't the sponsors been as great as they've been before? For me, the way I would see it, it would be almost a keynote format, which I think for Sam, who's a massive tech guy, would be perfect. Almost like Riot does at the beginning of the season, where they explain what they're going to do throughout the year when it comes to patches, when it comes to the theme of the Rift and the game modes that are going to come out. I would like Sam to address the fans and say, those are our objectives for each title across the year. We would like to go to this tournament, or we would like to achieve this level, and at least the fans would have a sort of semblance of what it would mean to be successful for a team, depending on the level they're trying to achieve, and not have that much frustration when we're completely bombing out of the playoffs in League of Legends and still nothing comes out, and there's no sort of aspect of the team that looks like they're going to do any better in the year. And as a little side note about that, for people who think that changes are going to come within the team, as in players are going to leave, in this current situation with this current project, it's impossible for Fnatic to make this choice. They have to commit to this roster throughout the year, and there will be no patching up with bringing a player at the last minute for summer, because this would mean admitting defeat pretty much at this stage. And I think that if you want to keep the trust of the players who have committed to this project, and you want to maybe improve in the latter stages, then obviously you have to keep this combination and then maybe see what happens in 2027. But unfortunately, they are locked in with this 5. and there's nothing much that they can do for this year. Now, with all that said, and the fact that we definitely need clear communication and understand what is happening behind the scene to sort of pull back the curtain and understand who are the actors, what has gone on during the off season, what is going on currently. Can we even dream of things improving going forward and providing the necessary resources for us to be successful? We need that communication from Sam, but I think it would be much better if it weren't from him and his team organizing a very structured video where he selects the questions and he gets to answer the way he wants. No, in my opinion, I think what you really need to do is to have someone from the community manage this sort of questions and answer with the questions selected by the person doing the interview. Now, naturally, I would love to offer my platform to Sam Matthews, bring him on an episode and take questions from the community, but I'm also very well aware that I'm not entitled to this, and there are much bigger streamers, especially Fnatic fan streamers, who are doing much more content and interviews. I'm thinking about Jordy, obviously, who's been to many events and who's much closer to Fnatic, who can probably manage this type of exchange. So this is what I'd like to see. I'd like something really to bridge the gap between the top management and the fans and rekindle the trust that I feel has been lost quite a bit. And again, this is not just to answer things about League of Legends. Obviously, the Counter-Strike segment has been suffering for many years now. Valorant is still doing well. People will complain about them not qualifying to Masters. And it is a bit disappointing since they were one game away from qualifying, but Valorant is the only title that is really holding up where we still have the actual identity of Fnatic. We have top management within Kojo who knows how to scout players, who knows how to change the pieces correctly, even when losing big names that we had through Durkee and Chronicle. He also knows how to structure a team to make those talents grow with the help of Boaster, who really is the face of Fnatic and who's one of the main reasons why people decide to become fans of the org. Boaster is really the guy you want. He reminds me of Mag, for those who are familiar when we had Rainbow Six down in Australia. Someone who is great with media, who is a great player, amazing personalities with amazing values as well. This is who you want as your main guy. And I feel like this is the only title in which we're all getting the whole experience of what it meant to be Fnatic in the time. Now, I've ranted on, I've said what I had on my mind, and I really hope that this message reaches the right people, that Sam maybe stumbles upon it and thinks about it. I genuinely believe that if he were to be more transparent towards the fan and communicate more often about the challenges that the structure is facing, there probably be more solidarity as a whole towards Fnatic rather than what we're getting right now, which is pushing Fnatic to come up with a message to tell people to calm down with their vitriol and even their threats, which is completely unacceptable. We have to be better as a community. It's not the players' fault if they are struggling right now. There's always a bigger part, and we have to be better than that. So guys, make sure you provide as much support as possible to the players. The season isn't over. We still need to be behind them. And of course, if the results aren't there, if the progress aren't there, we have every right to be frustrated and to ask for answers. But the answers have to come from more than grabs. We need the guys at the top to tell us what's going on, why are we facing those issues for many years, and what are the steps that are being taken to eventually solve this, which as fans, this is all we're looking for. We want to get closer to success. We want to lift that trophy ultimately, but we want to look like a team that can compete again at the highest level. I'm very curious about what you guys think, so drop me a comment below or on my Twitter account. Make sure to follow again for the next seasons, or next split I should say, that are coming up. Again, I appreciate the support. Apologies for the little hiatus. The end of the split was very hard for me to create any content that wouldn't be overly negative, so I'd rather do this video that addresses the issue and hopefully rings a bell within the right people. In any case, guys, thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Until then, always Fnatic. See you guys.